There is one particular thing that separates those junglers who are climbing after the 13.20 patch and those who are not. A simple thing that after you watch this video, if you're having trouble understanding this patch or maximizing it, will 100% fix all of those issues, and if you're already winning, it will just make you win harder. So let's start off with our main gameplay example. We will also have a secondary gameplay example where I will show you how I use this tip, as well as one where I coached it to someone else in Platinum and Gold, and he smurfed all over someone's ass. So we watch a Briar do the Raptor's Red Krug standard stuff. If there's nothing on the bottom side, you can go back to base by Doran's Blade. You can also just stay out and carry on your sequencing. And I'm simply going to describe the events of this game, analyze what's going on, but when the moment comes where the Graves does not do what he should do, that's when he loses the game. No matter what game state you're in, if you recognize it, it can swing you wins no matter what. So we have the Briar going to the top side, trying to kill, of course, the enemy Darius, who's already shoving. The Graves decides to react and go for some sort of cheese invade off the blue side. Briar has to respect this a little bit. Graves decides to cross mid lane, snag himself up some experience from there, and head to the bottom side scuttle. Given Briar isn't necessarily going to be one of these AFK farming champions, and she likes fisting, ganking, fighting, skirmishing, invading, she decides to cross over the mid lane and protect her bottom side from the Graves' pressure, because we know he's on that side. He started with Red Krug's Raptors, he shows up on the top side, he floats down to the bottom side. We know that he has Wolves available, much like we have Grump available because we skipped it. And the first big sin of this patch, of the new meta of jungle since the changes, is staying out way too long, and the Graves does it right here. He sequences all the way back up to the top side again, tries to get a gank off on the top laner, but the enemy mid laner, the Neeko, she is 6, the Briar has gone back to base, and now has a serrated Dirk, and she shows up on the top wave as well. This is why you don't stay out longer than you need to, because the camps that are going to respawn at level 5, they're going to have a lot more HP, they're going to be harder to take, and you don't want to waste time taking longer to take camps, when you could, not take that much time. If you want help implementing this information into your own game, I have a free jungle improvement resource and a dedicated program where we have jungle video courses, jungle coaching VOD libraries, weekly coaching classes, Q&As, patch note rundowns, private high elo streams, as well as a private jungle Discord. And I know how to make junglers convert from low elo to gold to emerald to diamond to master plus. If you want to climb faster than anybody you know, jungle diff every game you play, head to Virkayu.gg. It's better to reset, come up with Dirks and Doran's Blades, and try a good old-fashioned item spike advantage. Except in this case, he doesn't have it. He ends up dying, and here's where things get really interesting. The Graves is going to respawn and go for his red. There's an RNG scuttle spawning on the top side as well. Briar's going to want to use her economical advantage in itemization to try and get other lanes ahead. The Neeko's obviously doing well, the top laner's not doing well, the ADC is doing well, so we want to snowball that. The Graves ends up sequencing down to his blue side quadrant, and while he does that, you can watch the Briar get kills, clean up kills. She's getting really fed from this. There's not much the Graves could have done. Now the Briar falls back to her red, of course, and the Graves decides to float on back down to the river. He had shown to shadow just a little bit and, see if he could pick something up, but there's really nothing he could have done. Simple watching the Briar and understanding she didn't have red would have told him, hey, she's gonna go back to her red. He's still here, loitering. What is he gonna do? The dragon? Is he gonna gank the lane? Can he gank mid lane? No, none of these things. In the end, he's out of position, gets collapsed upon, and killed. Now, what he should have done here is, instead of going to his red, he knew the Briar was going back to base after the kills on the top side. Even if she steals a red, who cares? That's not good timing for her. He should go down to his Grump. His wolves are going to be respawning. His bottom lane's already losing. He knows he cannot fight the Briar. The Briar's going to most likely go to the bottom side here for her red spawn. Let me take my Grump, take my wolves, go for my red, and if I see the Briar show bottom lane here, I can cut at any point to take that Scuttle Crab, and I can counter jungle her whole blue side, and then fall back to the Herald. Your blue camps are defended from potential counter jungling, you get an objective, you counter jungle her twice, you get your red, and you have free real estate to impact top lane or mid lane as necessary, as the map dictates. That, my friends, is exactly how you wrestle control in negative game states, in weird game states where you cannot match the enemy jungler's fisting, fighting, and gold lead. You will get it back through counter jungling, and remember, because the camps have more HP now when they respawn at higher levels because you took them, a jungler who's behind on gold or equal and behind on experience will take a lot longer to clear them. This gives you a tempo advantage in whatever the hell you want to do, whether it's more counter jungling on the other side, objectives, or ganking lanes. This complete oversight from the Graves will cost him this entire game. Now, Briar gets the objective from his death. That's great kill conversion ratio. When you get kills, can I take an objective, push a turret? That's your first inclination. He gets interrupted and says, hey, you know what? I could stay for a few more kills, which of course she does. And as you watch her go for some more kills, the Grave says, hey, I can go topside and get an objective. This feels amazing, except now I can't counter jungle on the blue side. Briar pings on the map thinking he could be doing it, but obviously he won't because he'll lose that PvP. He's forced to now go to the bottom side, but he didn't counter jungle her. Now he does end up in the right position where he can take his blue side camps, dive bottom lane with the Herald while Briar's on the top side diving top lane, but she has a global ultimate that she can hit and rotate on, so as you're doing this stuff, pay attention to the fact that that's a possibility. Nocturnes, Karthuses, Shens, all of these things have to factor into your game planning when you make these decisions. But also, if you're this far behind the ganking numbers, you cannot be this far behind in CSing numbers. If you're getting cheesed or have a ganking jungler against you, there's a certain way to play to ensure that they are absolutely miserable. You beat them 1v1 at a certain point for your first kill, and your laners are going to play around you because they realize that you're actually smurfing on them. Now you understand a little bit about how counter jungling can be used in weird games and games where you're just behind, but you didn't quite see the raw power that it has. So let me show you. Cue the second game. The Zyra starts on her red buff, knows that it was warded on her blue buff, which she also warded. We also know that the Lee Sin is gonna think about invading. Any jungler that might think about invading, it's always good to reverse clear a little bit. So, you go to your blue, you start it up, you pull it out into the bush, Lee Sin shows up, you outsmite him, you're level 2, he's level 2, you go at it. You know now that he feels like he's screwed, so he's gonna go to the Gromp, so you use the plant to bait him around the wall. You chunk him a little bit more and you win the HP war. The HP war is a term I've been using recently, where you can use it early game or on dragon fights, baron fights, split pushing, poking, it doesn't matter. If you're able to compromise an enemy's HP where they have to back out of a fight or go back to base, that is equally as good as getting a kill in a lot of cases. Not always, but it is just as good if it gets you what you wanted in the first place. In this case, Gromp. Now you know the Lee Sin did his red into this invade, probably either goes back to base to the blue side or stays out and does Raptors into the blue side. So what we do is you do your wolves, and instead of doing Raptors Krugs like a defenseless chicken, you know you have a bit of an HP war advantage. So you go to the bottom Scuttle Crab, there's Lee Sin, doesn't think you're gonna show up, smites it, so you snack it away. Now take that W and please leave, don't greed for kills and die, that is a big no-no, obviously a big throw moment, but let me show you what this means overall. You know the Lee Sin still has his blue and still has his Gromp, and your bottom lane do get fed from the play, which is okay. So we know that when he respawns, he's gonna deal with those bottom side camps because 2 camps are greater than 1 camp, which is the Krug camp. Obviously that hasn't taken. So as the Zyra in this particular case, ignore your tier 1 Raptors and Krugs. He will assume you're going to do the same thing, right? 2 camps better than 0. Except you understand that counter jungling is the way to play the game right now to get huge leads. You know the tier 1 Krugs drop, so you go ahead and take this. Nidleys, Greys, Rengars, Kindreds, doesn't matter who you are, you can do this. And because you kind of have a loose idea of when those Raptors are going to respawn, given when he invaded and when you saw him next, he had 12 CS. He also didn't have his blue buff, so you knew he did red, Raptors, wolves, and therefore you can kind of guess a time. So you take the Krugs, and then you're right on time for the respawn of the Raptors. Now it's fair to assume that the Lee Sin thinks you're pathing to the top side, so he might go for a gank in the bottom lane assuming there's no chems. And this is what it comes to as well. You also need to punish their mistakes and very quickly. If they show, if they die, if they miss an objective, you need to harness that opportunity as quickly as possible, because when you do, the ability to come back is so dwindled, is so much more difficult, that they really have no other choice other than to accept the L and hope their team can carry them. So Lee Sin hangs around bottom lane, he gets kills, he doesn't get kills, like in the Graves example, if the Briar gets kills, she gets kills, nothing you can do about it. You just control your own econ. A full sequence down here and staying out is a really good idea, because if you reset, you might lose some Raptors and Krugs, so control those camps. The reason is they're all level 1, so we want to take them off the map most importantly, but because the Lee Sin has spent time in the bottom lane creating some prior for his bottom lane to roam, you know they might look to do a red buff invade. Obviously, you're a smart cookie, so you know this might happen, so you planned accordingly, and again, because you have the advantage, you can leverage that experience, gold, whatever it is, to win the HP war. You chunk them, they're compromised, they're down a level, you get a free red buff, how nice. It is important to try and have impact on lane, so if you see bottom lane where you can rotate, do so. If your bottom lane takes care of business and all you need to do is shove them out to protect them from Lee Sin, also do that. You kind of want to do the crab, but you know Lee Sin most likely took it. Zed confirms with a ward. Okay, so this is not so bad, right? 55 CS to 24 CS. Fortunately, he hasn't gotten kills, but his mid laner is kind of fed. Now it's time for the Bane back-breaking move. Did you notice on the small screen when he decided to fall back to his Gromp here, how long it took him to do it? This is where things get a little weird, because even as a Zyra here, you would assume he's back and doing stuff on the top side, yes? You would assume at this point you kind of want to do blue, Gromp, wolves, maybe loop into the Herald casually. But because he takes so damn long on the Gromp, he shows up bottom lane again without having based again. Do not wait a second. You have 2 choices. You do the Herald and you accept the fact that he did the dragon and you get this. I think that's okay. You can also go for the red side quadrant counter jungling again and then fall back to the Herald. The problem is if your champion, even well ahead, can get run over by a strong mid and jungle, and maybe there's a Scion who wants to run into you as well, inting his way to victory, that's just not really the fight you want for the Herald. So take the free Herald. Because he's still down there and he dies again, go ahead and take all of his camps. Remember, death respawn timers have gone down, so deaths aren't really as bad as they used to be. Yeah, they're still gray screen, but they're up on the field a lot sooner, so you don't have as much time to do stuff. But the point is, you've got a ganking jungler staying on the same side of the map, much like the Briar did. The difference is the Lee Sin isn't getting anything, but even if he was, you have to make sure you have that experience and gold parity and deny him from getting anything extra from those kills, because it's still going to take them a lot longer to clear those camps when they do respawn at a higher level. So, you take the Raptors, you take the Red, you take the Krugs. And even though he's got that one cheeky assist, he decides to go and coin flip for the Scuttle Crab because he lost his whole red side quadrant a second time. The thing is, my friend, it's 79 to 28 CS. It is a huge experience advantage of 2 levels, and you have everything up, so you make sure you stay close to him so when he flashes he gets knocked up and you kill him. Then you take the Scuttle Crab. And now he is unholy compromised. You know he's going to have to go to the bottom side of the map. You're going to the bottom side of the map, and now you can start to match things up and use your power over him. And when it's something like a 91 CS to 32 CS lead, what exactly are they going to do to you at all? And yes, that means, hey, he's going to take the second dragon, but you got some cleanup kills, you control your quadrants, you're protecting your camps. You should never be giving up this control. You should always be able to rotate and use the gold advantage and experience advantage and your build advantage to kill him if he tries to do something, to kill laners if they try to do something, and the game should be won pretty easily through standard jungle macro play. That is linked below if you want a bit more information about that, but this just showcases 2 examples. When you don't counter jungle, what it means for a ganking jungler who has success. When you do counter jungle, what it doesn't mean for them because you still have the lead. And now, what if you have an early invade, you're in a platinum MMR game, so this applies to everyone in mid and low elos, and you invade and kill a Poppy. Now you fall back to the Scuttle Crab, you take it. Cool, right? But where's the Poppy going? Think. Most likely she's going to the bottom side, but no camps will have respawned. She'll take the Scuttle Crab. But she knows that your Krugs are respawned, so she's gonna go ahead and take them. And if you have a problem, you've now been counter jungled. And I think what we've seen in this video is if someone makes a mistake, they spam gank, they die. If you counter jungle them and take objectives, you are absolutely screwing them for the game. It is hilarious how long it takes them to do camps. They can never catch up, and it's all on you to apply that pressure continuously. So, don't do your blue side quadrant on the top side. That will still be there. Go back to base. Prevent them from taking your Krugs, take your Raptors. You know they're now going to sequence to the top side again, and you kind of want to go and get in their face and take the Raptors and Krugs, right? But they're there, and they have mid lane prior. So let them have the Raptors, but take the Krugs. This was a platinum level pathing from someone I've long-term coached using the courses and so on, and you can see how their pathing has evolved into very quick decision making. It's allowed them to climb. I've made a video on them, but I'm just showcasing to you in this particular meta, when you counter jungle and punish mistakes, you understand quick thinking, and you know when to give up a quadrant to defend your other quadrants that might be counter jungled. Those level 1 camps will be quickly taken, and now no one can do anything to you. It's all about understanding this, and this alone, that makes the difference between those junglers who are going to smurf it and climb from here on out, as this is the new reality of jungle, and those who simply will not. However, the guy I just used for this last example, yeah, he was silver for 9 years until he did some coaching and courses with me, and I made a video about his journey about how he got platinum in less than 30 days.